name is Richard Sideman. I was born and raised in Chicago.
So my name is Laura Sideman Rissman.
I'm Roger Sideman. I'm Richard's nephew, Bob's son, brother of Laura.
My name is John Weinberg. My grandfather, Judd Weinberg, and our hosts this evening were first cousins and lived in Chicago nearby one another.
My name is Noah Cantor. Of the Kata Cantor side, I'm siblings with Anna Cantor, who is also at this gathering. The son of Dan and Suzanne, and the grandchild of Lily and Alan Cantor.
Ross Chuckerman. I relate to the Sideman family through my grandmother, Joan Chuckerman.
Okay, so tonight, my dear, sweet Uncle Richard brings me here, and he is precious to me, has kept me connected with all of the family because he is so interested in staying connected and relaying stories of one side of the family to the other. So he's a hub. And this is like a beautiful legacy that he is imparting, and I would do anything for him, and he's been incredibly important to me as far as like even just my sense of what it is to be a Sideman and have shared that last name. Yeah.
To celebrate all these cousins having moved to this beautiful city of San Francisco, all this younger generation moving here, and they don't know each other. So we thought, well, it'd be a good thing for them to meet each other, have a party.
When I found out that the descendants of 4 of those branches were all coming to San Francisco and living here, and this is multiple generations down from those original siblings that I'm talking about, and that they're all about the same ages, roughly in their late 30s or early 40s, or late 20s, excuse me, and early 30s, I thought this would be an opportunity to get them together, particularly when I found out after talking to them that they didn't know each other, that these the descendants of these individual branches were fairly what I would call stovepiped in their identities simply within their own families, which were extensive in all of their fronts, and they didn't know really about their analogs and other family branches, but it turned out so many were here. We have 4 of the branches represented here. My mother loved the Sideman family and talked about them all the time, and would be thrilled, as well as my dad, to know that we were having this dinner together. So it's somewhat in their spirit that I wanted to get everybody to see each other. My goal, of course, when doing this was just to introduce them to each other, and that includes Laura and Roger, who are my niece and nephew. Their father's my brother, and they don't know anybody either. So I keep talking about the cousins, but I've also got a niece and a nephew here that I love very much, and wanted them, and they were all excited to know of an opportunity to get together. So this dinner is designed to introduce all these elements of the Sideman descendants to each other and to get to know something about each other. That's what I'm intended, and I think it's already being accomplished by the conversation that's going on right now.
I'd just like to get to know everybody. Get to see my cousins and sort of what their path in life has been, where they're from. I think some are from Chicago, where I grew up, and or have family there, and see what we might have in common, which would be kind of neat, and kind of see also what differences we got too. I mean, there's probably some interesting people that are doing different things than I am here in the Bay Area, so that will be kind of cool, and just to make the connection will be really nice because there's a legacy of that in the family.
It's a good question, and I'd say it's not always the easiest to answer because you always end up with these family stories that kind of build upon each other with all different branches and elements. So I was always excited about the fact that getting to meet Richard when I got out here, and it was something my grandmother had talked about when I first moved to San Francisco. And I think for us, family's always just been such a big thing, and there's always pieces and parts of stories that meld together that create kind of this lore about this broad extended family, which I think we're unique, and we have such a almost wide-ranging knowledge of past, present, different branches, Richard was just explaining the 8 branches and the 4 are going to be here, and it's just exciting to put all the pieces together because you hear all these stories forever growing up because family's just such a pillar. But that's kind of where I come from, is like more excited to meet all these people that probably have some of the same stories in the back of their head that they remember from growing up or that their parents and grandparents talked about. So it's exciting to have everybody together.
My dad, Arthur Sideman, who was always known as Owie Sideman, and my mother always talked about the Sideman family as a group of special people. They viewed the Sidemans as being exalted, of noble blood in the sense of being the best that ever lived, and they always spoke to everybody about them with reverence, and my dad always expected that anybody who referred to his brother or his sisters with reverence, dedication, and love. And he wouldn't tolerate any other conversation except that kind of conversation. I was raised on the lore of them as to their qualities, their outstanding elements of their spirit, their intelligence, their divine inspiration as they acted to take care of their families and live a decent life in Chicago and have outstanding children and progeny. So this was always a large theme in my life.
My father's Robert Sideman, and my grandmother is Ardith, and my grandfather was Arthur. So that's Richard's mom and dad. I have such great memories of sleeping in their apartment when I was really little and being in the overnight in the city for the first time and being up high in a skyrise and looking down below and seeing all the traffic go along Lakeshore Drive.
Yeah, so I grew up hearing about Della, my great grandma. Her first name is my middle name, so I'm Anna Della, and she was kind of a legend. I grew up in Chicago, and I just heard about Della being very glamorous. She owned a boutique called Della Louise in Chicago, and I've always said if I could travel back in time to one place, I would probably go there and understand her world more. I think, yeah, and my grandpa Alan, he passed away when I was probably 14 years old, and he was my window into the Sideman world.
It's great to be here and be with a lot of distant cousins, but also some closer ones too. It's really eclectic, but great group of people.
Well, I'm part of the family tree, descendant of D.B., David, our great-grandfather. So these are my even Steven second cousins, I've figured out, but I have never met any of them. So I'm quite interested. I've got a lot of second cousins I know on my mother's side, but not so many on my father's side. But I know some of their parents and grandparents and have really fond memories of some of them growing up in Glencoe. Yeah, well, I know all of the cousins from the Chuckermans. It was Break the Fast. I was pretty young at the time, but I have great memories, good feelings. I don't remember anything specific of my cousins Bob or Wendy, cousin Warren, but I have a great feeling from all of them. Scott, a lot of energy, a lot of fun. I was a kid at the time, so I can say now that I have a little girl, I'd say they were very great with kids. Always made me feel very welcome. I looked forward to it, even if it was just once a year that I would see them. It was always very nice. But I think more than any of the cousins, I saw Joan over the years a little more often, and I have really fond memories of Joan, and I miss her. I understand she'll be watching this, so I want to say hello to my cousin Joan, who I miss very much. She and I met, I think, when I was probably very young, but I got to know her when she came in as a guest teacher in second grade for a segment called Art Forms, and she taught fine art to second graders, which was pretty incredible on the face of it, but was a great teacher at that. And so I really enjoyed the curriculum, and I was very proud that was my cousin who came in, and I think a lot of what I learned about art, started there, because I still think of her sometimes when I come across art or artists' names, and I can still hear in my mind, I can hear her say Pete Mondrian, the artist, I can still hear the way she would say that. So, Joan, I love you. I miss you very much, and I hope to see you sometime at least on a screen, and we can catch up that way. Some other memories. I was thinking of my cousin Warren, who was also at all of the break the fasts or at all the holidays at the Chuckermans, and just what fond memories I have of him too. He was like the jovial uncle that very avuncular kind of guy, and always engaging and playing tricks with us, magic tricks, and just generally a great guy. So
we had a lot of family gatherings when I was really young in the late 80s and early 90s that I remember pretty vividly, where different people with my last name Weinberg, Sideman, Chuckerman, and Cantor were all together. I don't remember what the venues were, but I remember having a good time.
We spent a lot of holidays when I was little also with the Chuckerman side of the family.
But I do remember learning that the Sideman family, with all of the 8 siblings, was like a huge draw for my grandmother, because she grew up as an only child, and when she met my grandfather, I think it was in the North Woods at a resort there, she was like immediately drawn to him, but also to like all of his siblings and the vibes in that family. So I owe a lot to the Sideman family for like pulling in my grandmother, and here I am today. I have great memories of the Sideman family, some of which include some Jewish holidays. We would go to the Chuckerman's house sometimes for break the fast, and I have great memories there. My brother and I were the only kids who would ever be at that event, and so I have like nice memories of the older relatives like paying like close attention to us, and that would include especially Wendy Chuckerman, the Cantors also, and I remember cousin Warren Mendelson always like pulling a coin out from behind our ear, and my brother and I just thought he was the nicest man. And I think my dad also and my uncle also felt the same way, because I remember hearing stories of them going to lots of, I think, football games with cousin Warren.
We all went to the Bear games together. So for years, I still have frostbite from the Bear games. It was so cold. But this was a binding event for us. Wrigley Field wasn't so far away. And in the winter, we followed the Bears every season through all kinds of tribulations and grief. Same thing with the Cubs. My dad was a fanatic with the Cubs, and he and his brother Joe and his sister Jeanette followed the Cubs for years. In fact, when the Cubs were in the World Series, and I was abroad in Africa, I was sure when I learned that they had won the series that on high, my dad, his brother Joe, and his sister Jeanette were applauding and cheering because finally the pennant and the championship was in Chicago. So I've known all his siblings, all of them, and their families since I can recall any memory at all.
I'd like to hear and see how they make connections with each other, because the whole idea here, none of them know each other. So we want them all to meet each other and learn about each other, and then have more connections in that generation in the city.
Well, I think there's like the tactical piece where I just want to make sure I understand how everybody connects, right? There's almost like the simple, like, how does this draw out? Where's the branch that we all connect to, and where did everybody come from, and go from there? But more so from that, expanding and thinking about what everybody's, one, personal story is, but two, their family story, and how they talked about their branch of the family and trying to connect it all the way back up. Because I think we'll find a lot of commonalities, both in people as you go higher up in the branches, but also in, like the family values, lessons, stories, and stuff. I think you'll see a lot of similarities. And I'm excited to kind of draw the parallels across the different people, some of whom I've met, some of whom I have not met. So it'll be fun to kind of put all the pieces together. I feel like it's kind of like a giant jigsaw puzzle. I think family's always been an important thing for me, but I'd like to continue to have an appreciation for a broader definition of what family means. as I moved to a new city, my family's mostly in Chicago. I'm here in San Francisco. I've been here for a couple of years, but I don't have the same overarching broad network here in the West Coast that I did in the Midwest. And so it's nice to kind of connect the dots, put this together, create that same kind of familial environment with some new and different people. So I'm excited to walk away with, I think, some strengthened relationships, hopefully some good stories. I'm sure I'm going to get some of those. Richard's quite the storyteller.
I'm interested to hear about the older generations of the family, stories that I maybe haven't heard. It's funny to hear someone I haven't met has spent a lot of time with my grandfather, and I'm excited to hear Richard's stories and see how we all ended up somehow inexplicably in the Bay Area. Yeah.
And I would love to leave here with a new group of people that I can count on and rely on and see with family just nearby. It's always hard to be away from your immediate family, and knowing that I have a lot of family in the area that I can count on and see for holidays and all that is always amazing. I love hearing about the connections, especially the people that I haven't met before, and just understand their part of the family and how they got here and the people that we both know, and also how they ended up in San Francisco, because while some people have been here for a while, a lot of us are transplants. So it's always great to hear how people ended up here and how families, may separate, but you always come back together again.
Well, I hope to leave with a whole bunch of new connections, and to maintain some of those. Yeah, I'm really eager to meet people. Oh, I just want to hear what brings them joy and who they are. But that's sort of a good way to find out.
Say a word of welcome to everybody collectively. These are the 4 prime branches of the Sideman family. The other branches, the other ones didn't measure up as well, so they're not represented here as much as they might otherwise be, to their great loss and detriment. But I'm just delighted to have everyone here. It is really quite remarkable to think that everyone is here from the Chicago area, and all gravitated to the Bay Area. It speaks well, I think, of your judgments in coming here, because I think this is a fabulous area to be in, and hope you have a chance as you get to know it to explore it better and to take advantage of all that this place offers, including the chance, I hope, to have many more conversations and dinners with Jill and me, because we'd like to have you as much as possible and get to know you better and to see you and have you meet more of our extended family here. So I just wanted to welcome everybody. I'm not going to have any more toast or speeches except to say welcome. Thank you.